There comes a time in life when solitude feels less like loneliness and more like freedom. As an older person, you may start to recognize signs that living alone could bring you more joy, peace, and contentment than the hustle and bustle of a shared home. Maybe you've been questioning whether it's time to embark on this path. From the countless conversations and experiences people have shared online, it's clear that many older adults are finding themselves drawn to the idea of living alone. If you've been considering it, these signs might help you decide if it's truly time to embrace the beauty of solo living. Number 1. You value peace and quiet more than ever. One of the most common reasons I've seen for people choosing to live alone is that they crave peace. As we age, the noise and constant movement of others can feel overwhelming. You may have raised children, been part of a busy household, and now find yourself yearning for tranquility. Margaret, a woman in her early 60s, shared her story on a forum. I love my grandchildren, but the constant noise and energy in the house were draining me. When they left, I was relieved to have my space back. That's when I knew I needed to live alone, permanently. If you find yourself deeply appreciating moments of stillness and feeling a sense of relief when the house is empty, this might be your sign. Living alone can allow you to cultivate a peaceful environment filled with calm that nurtures your spirit. 2. You enjoy your own company. As you grow older, you may find that your own company is more than enough. Perhaps you've developed hobbies, a love for reading, or simply enjoy reflecting on your day in peace. This is a powerful sign that living alone could suit you perfectly. On a forum, a 70-year-old man wrote about his newfound love for gardening. When I'm out in my garden, it's just me and the earth. I don't need anyone to talk to. I find peace in the quiet rhythm of my day. It was during one of those peaceful mornings I realized I don't need a roommate or a family around constantly to feel fulfilled. Learning to appreciate your own company can be deeply empowering, and living alone gives you the space to honor that solitude in whatever way you choose. 3. You have strong boundaries and prioritize your well-being. Many older people find that they have stronger boundaries now than they did when they were younger. They know what they need to thrive and are less likely to compromise those needs. If you've found that you're no longer willing to sacrifice your comfort or well-being for the sake of others, it might be time to consider living alone. Take Liz's story, for example, which I came across in an online video comment. She talked about how sharing her space with her adult daughter and grandchildren began to feel like an infringement on her emotional and mental well-being. I loved them dearly, but they were constantly crossing boundaries, leaving the house messy, making noise late at night, and I was starting to lose my sense of peace. I realized that it was time to prioritize my own needs. Living alone allows you to create a sanctuary where your boundaries are respected and your well-being takes center stage. 4. You're ready for more control over your space and time. As we age, the desire for control over our environment and schedule often becomes more pronounced. Maybe you've been sharing a home with family or a roommate, and while you love them, you're ready to fully dictate the flow of your day. Living alone gives you the ultimate say in how your space looks and how you spend your time. A commenter on a forum shared, I was 65 when I realized I was tired of compromising on everything. What time we had dinner, how clean the house should be, what shows we watched. I love my family, but I wanted to live on my own terms. Living alone gave me that freedom. When you live alone, you get to decide everything, from the smallest details like when you wake up or what music to play, to bigger choices like how to decorate your space or when to have guests over. It's a freedom many older adults deeply value. 5. You've outgrown the need to care for others full-time. As a caregiver, whether for children, a spouse, or even aging parents, you may have spent decades putting others first. But at some point, you may feel that it's time to focus on yourself. If you've reached a stage where you no longer want to be responsible for the daily care of others and you crave time for yourself, it could be time to live alone. On a Reddit thread discussing this topic, one woman shared, "After my husband passed, I realized I didn't want to take on the role of caretaker for anyone else. I love my family, but I was ready to focus on my own needs and desires. It's liberating to finally put myself first." Living alone can provide you with the time and space to rediscover yourself after years of caring for others. You can focus on your hobbies, health, and well-being without feeling the constant pull of responsibility toward others. 6. You want to age on your own terms. Aging alone doesn't mean you'll be isolated. It means you'll have the freedom to make choices that suit your lifestyle and preferences. Many older people find that they want to age on their own terms, in their own space, without the constant presence of others. One man left a poignant comment on forum. "I want to decide when and how I ask for help. I don't want my children or anyone hovering over me all the time. I'm capable of making decisions for myself, and living alone allows me to maintain that independence." If you value your autonomy and want to make decisions about your own life without outside interference, living alone can give you that control. It allows you to set up your home in a way that meets your needs and ensures that when you do need support, you can choose when and how to get it. 7. You're ready for a fresh start. Living alone as an older person can represent a fresh chapter, a chance to reinvent yourself, free from the expectations or routines you may have followed for years. If you're feeling like it's time to start anew, living alone can provide you with the space and freedom to do just that. One man, aged 67, shared his thoughts in an online forum. "I'd been living in the same house for over 30 years. After my wife passed, I realized that staying in the same place with the same routines wasn't what I wanted. I downsized to a small apartment, started taking art classes, and living alone gave me the fresh start I needed." It's never too late to begin a new chapter, and living alone can be the perfect opportunity to explore your interests, try new things, and create the life you truly want. 8. You're craving minimalism and simplicity. As we get older, the desire to simplify our lives often becomes stronger. You may find yourself overwhelmed by the clutter or busyness of your current living situation. If you feel that downsizing and living more simply could bring you peace, this might be a clear sign that living alone is the right choice. There's a powerful story I read about a woman who decided to embrace minimalism in her 70s. "I realized that I was holding on to so many things that no longer served me. Old furniture, memorabilia, even relationships that drained me. Once I moved into my own space, I embraced a simpler way of life. Fewer possessions, fewer obligations, and more time to focus on what truly matters." If the idea of letting go of excess and creating a simpler, more manageable life appeals to you, living alone can give you the opportunity to declutter not just your space, but your mind as well. 9. You want to make your own decisions without compromise. As an older adult, you may have spent much of your life compromising with others, whether it was with a partner, children, or roommates. If you find that you're no longer willing to negotiate every decision and long for a life where you can choose what's best for yourself, this is a strong sign that living alone might be the right choice. One woman shared a story about how she finally found the freedom to live life on her own terms after decades of compromise. I always had to consider other people's preferences, from what we ate for dinner to where we went on vacation. Now, I live alone, and I get to choose everything, from the color of my walls to the music I listen to. It's liberating to make decisions based solely on my own desires. Living alone allows you to reclaim the power to make decisions that truly align with your personal preferences, without the need to compromise with others. This autonomy can be incredibly fulfilling. 10. You're ready for emotional independence. Emotional independence is a powerful sign that living alone may be the right step for you. As you age, you might find that you no longer need the emotional crutch of constant companionship. Instead, you've developed the resilience and self-awareness to navigate your emotions on your own, without relying on others for validation or support. A commenter in a forum once shared, "For years, I always felt like I needed someone around me, whether it was my children or a partner, to feel emotionally stable. But over time, I learned to find that strength within myself. Living alone now is a joy because I trust in my own emotional resilience. I can process my feelings, find peace, and I no longer need someone else's presence to feel okay." If you're finding that your emotional well-being is no longer dependent on others, and you feel confident in managing your emotions independently, living alone can offer you the space to continue growing emotionally and thriving on your own terms. 11. You want to focus on your personal growth and self-discovery. For many older people, living alone can create the perfect environment for personal growth and self-discovery. After spending years in roles like a parent, spouse, or caregiver, you might feel ready to explore who you are outside of those identities. Living alone allows you to focus on yourself without distractions, giving you the time and mental space to pursue new interests, rediscover old passions, or simply reflect on the next chapter of your life. A woman in her late 60s shared this on a forum. "I spent so much of my life focused on others that I forgot what made me happy. Once I started living alone, I picked up painting again, and it felt like I was reconnecting with a part of myself that had been buried for years. Living alone gave me the freedom to explore that side of me without worrying about anyone else's needs." Living alone provides you the opportunity to dive into self-discovery and personal growth in ways that may not have been possible when you were balancing multiple roles. It's a time to nurture yourself and create a life that feels authentic to you. 12. You're ready to create your own routine and embrace flexibility. As you get older, your routine and schedule may become more important to you. Living with others often requires flexibility to accommodate their schedules, but when you live alone, you get to create your own routine that aligns with your personal energy levels and preferences. Whether you want to wake up early for a morning walk or stay up late indulging in a good book, you're free to shape your days however you see fit. I saw a post from a man in his early 70s who found great joy in creating his own routine after moving into his own place. He mentioned, "I used to feel pressured to keep up with my family's schedule, meals at certain times, socializing when I didn't feel like it. Now that I live alone, I eat when I want, exercise when it feels good, and sleep when I'm tired. It's refreshing to have a routine that's entirely my own." If you find joy in setting your own pace and adapting your day to how you feel, living alone offers you the flexibility to design a life that works perfectly for you, with no need to adhere to anyone else's schedule. Living alone as an older person isn't about isolating yourself. It's about reclaiming your space, your peace, and your independence. If you resonate with any of the signs above, it may be time to embrace this new chapter in your life. I've seen so many people in online communities talking about the joy and contentment they've found by living alone. It can be a journey of self-discovery, where you finally get to focus on yourself in a way that might not have been possible before. So, if you find yourself yearning for quiet, relishing your own company, or feeling the need for more control and autonomy, consider the possibility that living alone could be exactly what you need at this stage in life. Trust yourself and know that it's okay to prioritize your own happiness and peace. Feel free to share your own thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If you found the video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to help us reach more wonderful people like you. Thank you for watching. As an older man, living alone can be one of the most enriching experiences of your life. It's not just about the peace and quiet. It's about carving out a space that's entirely your own, where you can focus on your passions, grow as an individual, and truly enjoy the freedom that comes with this stage of life. I've spent a significant part of my life alone, and the wisdom I've gathered is something I hold dear. Today, I'm not just sharing a list of benefits, but diving deeper into the emotional and practical advantages of living solo, inspired by what many others like you and me are saying on online communities and forums. So, whether you're already living alone or considering it, stick around. This journey could be the most fulfilling chapter of your life. Number 1. Freedom to be yourself. One of the greatest joys of living alone as an older man is the complete freedom it offers. When you live by yourself, you get to decide what your day looks like, from the moment you wake up to the time you go to bed. There's no need to compromise or adjust your preferences to suit anyone else's schedule or desires. I remember when I first started living alone, the sheer pleasure of not having to conform to anyone else's schedule was liberating. There's something incredibly satisfying about waking up when you want to, making breakfast just the way you like it, and spending the morning reading or working on a hobby without interruption. Take, for example, a man in his early 60s who shared how living alone allowed him to rediscover his love for painting. Without anyone else around, he set up a small art studio in his living room, where he could paint late into the night without worrying about disturbing anyone. He talked about how his nights became his most creative and productive time, something he could never have achieved in a shared living space. For me, it's the freedom to explore your hobbies and passions, no matter how unconventional, that makes living alone so fulfilling. 2. Peace and quiet. The tranquility that comes with living alone is often mentioned as one of the top benefits. After years of raising a family, working and juggling multiple responsibilities, many older men cherish the peace and quiet that solo living offers. It's a chance to reflect, meditate, or simply enjoy the stillness without the distractions of a bustling household. I vividly remember the first time I experienced the profound silence of living alone. It was an early Sunday morning, the kind where the world outside still fell asleep. I made myself a cup of coffee and sat by the window, listening to nothing but the birds chirping and the soft rustle of leaves. It was at that moment that I felt an overwhelming sense of peace. A kind of peace that only comes when there's no one else around demanding your attention. Imagine having a morning routine where you sip your coffee in silence, perhaps on a balcony overlooking your garden, without the hum of conversation or the rush to get things done. This calm space becomes a sanctuary for your thoughts, allowing you to think more clearly, connect with yourself on a deeper level, and appreciate the simple pleasures in life. 3. Personal growth and self-discovery. Living alone as an older man is an incredible opportunity for personal growth. When you're on your own, you have the time and space to reflect on your life, your choices, and your future. It's a time for self-discovery, where you can figure out who you really are and what you want out of life. I recall a particular period in my life when I found myself at a crossroads. The noise of daily life had drowned out my inner voice for so long that I didn't even know what I truly wanted anymore. But when I started living alone, something shifted. The quiet evenings and solitary weekends became fertile ground for introspection. I began journaling, something I hadn't done since I was a young man. And in those pages, I started to reconnect with the dreams and passions I'd put aside. One man I came across on a forum shared his story of how living alone in his late 50s allowed him to reconnect with himself. After a long career and the end of a marriage, he moved into a small cabin by the lake. There he started journaling, reading philosophy, and even picked up meditation. He described how the solitude helped him to strip away the layers of societal expectations and reconnect with his true self. It's this kind of personal growth that can be truly transformative. 4. Control over your environment. Living alone means you have full control over your environment. Whether it's keeping your space meticulously clean or embracing a more relaxed, cluttered style, the choice is entirely yours. You can arrange your furniture, decorate your space, and organize your belongings exactly how you like them, creating a living space that feels uniquely you. I have a dear friend who, after his divorce, moved into a quaint little house in the countryside. He was an avid collector of vintage cameras, something his wife never quite understood. But now, living alone, he transformed one of the spare rooms into a gallery for his collection. He shared with me how walking into that room every morning filled him with pride and joy. It was a space that was entirely his own, reflecting his passion and personality without compromise. An older gentleman also shared how, after his children moved out, he transformed his home into a reflection of his personality and tastes. He filled his space with antiques, family heirlooms, and bookshelves stacked with his favorite reads. His home became a gallery of his life's journey, and this ability to curate his environment brought him immense joy. 5. Financial independence. While living alone might seem more expensive at first glance, many older men find that it actually supports their financial independence. Without the need to support others, you have full control over your finances. You can choose to downsize, move to a more affordable area, or simply manage your budget in a way that prioritizes your needs and desires. I recall a conversation I had with an old colleague who, after retiring, decided to sell his large family home and move into a cozy apartment downtown. At first, he was worried about the costs of living alone, but soon he realized that the reduced expenses allowed him to live comfortably and even indulge in some of his passions. He no longer had to worry about maintaining a large house, and the extra savings meant he could take up photography, something he had always wanted to do but never had the time or resources for. One story from a forum that stood out for me was from a retiree who chose to downsize to a smaller home. He shared how this decision not only reduced his living expenses, but also freed up money for travel and other experiences he had always dreamed of. He spent his 70th birthday on a solo trip to Europe, something he said wouldn't have been possible if he were still maintaining a larger household. 6. Improved mental health. Living alone as an older man can have a positive impact on your mental health. For many, solitude is a source of healing. It's an opportunity to step away from the stresses and expectations of social life and find peace within oneself. Whether it's through meditation, exercise, or simply enjoying your own company, living alone allows you to focus on what truly makes you happy. I remember a particularly tough time in my life when everything seemed overwhelming. It was during these moments that I truly appreciated the solitude of living alone. I would take long walks in the evening, just to clear my mind and reconnect with nature. The quiet of my home became a place of refuge where I could process my thoughts and emotions without any external pressure. I also came across a heartfelt post from a man in his late 60s on Reddit who talked about how living alone helped him manage his anxiety. Without the constant noise and demands of others, he was able to develop a routine that prioritized his mental health. He practiced yoga in his living room, took long walks in nature, and learned to enjoy his own company. The peace he found in solitude was something he never experienced before. 7. Strengthened relationships. Interestingly, living alone can actually improve your relationships with others. When you're not constantly surrounded by people, the interactions you do have become more meaningful. You learn to value your time with loved ones more and make the most out of every interaction. I noticed this in my own life. Once I started living alone, I found that my relationships with friends and family became more intentional. Instead of seeing them out of obligation, I genuinely looked forward to our time together. The conversations became deeper, more heartfelt, and I cherished those moments much more than before. A touching example comes from a man who, after living alone for a few years, shared that his relationships with his children had improved. Instead of the tension that sometimes arose from living under the same roof, their visits became more intentional and loving. He found that he looked forward to their time together much more, and they, in turn, appreciated the relaxed, welcoming atmosphere of his home. 8. Independence and confidence. Living alone as an older man fosters a sense of independence and confidence. You become the master of your own life, making decisions and handling challenges on your own terms. This autonomy can be incredibly empowering, especially as you age. I can still recall the first time I had to fix something around the house by myself. It was a leaky faucet, something I had always relied on others to take care of. But there I was, alone, with no one to call on. I took a deep breath, watched a few tutorials online, and got to work. The satisfaction I felt when I finally fixed it was indescribable. It wasn't just about the faucet. It was about proving to myself that I could handle whatever came my way. One man in his 70s shared on a forum how living alone gave him a renewed sense of confidence. After his wife passed away, he was initially unsure about living alone. But over time, he learned how to manage the household, cook his own meals, and even take care of small repairs. This newfound independence gave him a sense of pride and accomplishment that he hadn't felt in years. 9. Rediscovery of simple pleasures. Living alone gives you the chance to rediscover the simple pleasures in life. Without the distractions of others, you can truly savor the things that bring you joy. Whether it's reading a good book, gardening, or simply enjoying a cup of tea while watching the sunset. I've always been a morning person, but it wasn't until I started living alone that I truly began to appreciate the quiet beauty of early mornings. I started a small garden in my backyard, something I had always wanted to do but never found the time for. Now, my mornings are spent tending to my plants, sipping my tea, and enjoying the first rays of sunlight. It's a simple routine, but it brings me immense joy and fulfillment. I came across an online video where an older man shared his daily routine of tending to his garden. Living alone allowed him to spend hours each day cultivating his plants, something he described as deeply fulfilling. He talked about the joy of watching his garden grow and the satisfaction of knowing that he had created this little oasis of beauty in his life. Living alone as an older man is not just about solitude, it's about embracing a lifestyle that offers peace, freedom, and personal growth. It's an opportunity to rediscover who you are, pursue your passions, and create a life that is truly your own. Whether it's the peace and quiet, the financial independence, or the chance to grow and reflect, living alone can be one of the most fulfilling choices you'll ever make. If you're considering it, know that you're not alone in your thoughts. Many have walked this path and found it to be a deeply rewarding journey. Take the leap, and you might just find that living alone is the key to unlocking the most meaningful and enriching chapter of your life. Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing if you found the video helpful. Thank you for watching. As we grow older, our homes become reflections of the lives we've led. Every item, from family heirlooms to trinkets picked up on a whim, has a story. But over time, these cherished possessions can begin to accumulate, and what once felt cozy can start to feel overwhelming. If you're like many seniors who want a home that feels more serene and less chaotic, let's take a thoughtful journey through some common culprits of clutter, and more importantly, how to tackle them in a way that respects your memories while creating a more organized and uplifting space. Number 1. Outdated paperwork. The paper piles. Bills, receipts, medical documents, and even old birthday cards can stack up over the years. Many seniors I've spoken to share how they've held onto papers, just in case. The result? Drawers, desks, and countertops buried in clutter. Instead, you can invest in a simple filing system with clearly labeled folders. Dedicate a few hours to sorting through old documents. Keep essentials like legal papers, insurance documents, and recent medical records. For everything else, consider scanning them onto a USB drive or cloud storage. For instance, one gentleman I knew, named Harold, made a ritual of shredding unnecessary papers weekly while listening to his favorite jazz records. It turned decluttering into a pleasant routine. Additionally, you can set up a mail management system near your entryway to prevent future buildup. A small basket or tray can hold incoming mail until you're ready to sort through it. 2. Unused or duplicate kitchen items. The kitchen often becomes a clutter hotspot, especially if you've collected cookware, gadgets, and utensils over decades. You might have 3 potato peelers, chipped mugs you never use, or a bread machine gathering dust. Consider keeping only what you use regularly. A friend of mine named Margaret decided to keep her favorite ceramic mugs and donated the rest to a local charity. She realized that she only used her good pans and didn't need the 10 others lurking in the cupboard. Simplifying your kitchen tools can make cooking more enjoyable and your counters clearer. Consider organizing your items by frequency of use. Store seasonal or rarely used appliances like turkey roasters or ice cream makers in less accessible cabinets to free up daily workspaces. 3. Inherited furniture and decor. Heirlooms are a tricky subject. Maybe you inherited your parents' ornate china cabinet or Aunt Gladys's floral love seat, and you've kept them out of a sense of obligation. But if these items don't bring you joy or fit your current space, they can make your home feel cramped. Reframe your relationship with these items. It's okay to let go. One woman shared how she photographed her grandmother's rocking chair before gifting it to her niece, who had the space to appreciate it. She kept the memory without keeping the chair. Alternatively, consider repurposing heirlooms. For instance, turn vintage linens into throw pillows or quilts, so their sentimental value is preserved in a way that fits your lifestyle. 4. Overcrowded bookshelves. Books are treasures, but even the most avid readers can admit to keeping titles they'll never revisit. Overloaded bookshelves can make a room feel chaotic rather than cozy. Select books that genuinely resonate with you. Donate the rest to libraries, schools, or book swaps. A retired teacher I know, named Anne, turned her decluttering project into a way to pass on knowledge, gifting her collection of history books to a local school's library. Now, her shelves display books she loves alongside cherished photos and plants. You can also add decorative storage baskets on lower shelves to hold miscellaneous items, keeping the space both functional and stylish. 5. Decor that no longer reflects you. Trends change, and so do personal tastes. That collection of figurines you once adored might now feel more like a dust collector, or maybe your walls are covered in art that doesn't inspire you anymore. Take a fresh look at your decor. If it doesn't make you smile, then it might be time to let it go. Replace it with something that sparks joy, like a framed photo of your family or a vibrant piece of art you picked up on a recent trip. One couple I met transformed their living room by removing heavy drapes and swapping dated paintings for a large, colorful tapestry they fell in love with during their travels. Minimalist shelving or display cases can also help showcase the decor you truly love without overcrowding your space. 6. Overstocked closets. Closets are notorious for harboring clutter. Clothes from decades ago, shoes you haven't worn in years, and purses you forgot you owned can take up precious space. You could try the 1-year rule. If you haven't worn it in the past year, it's time to donate or discard it. My neighbor Joan made this process more enjoyable by hosting a clothing swap with friends, turning decluttering into a social event. She kept her favorites and found joy in seeing her unworn pieces get a new life. For sentimental clothing, like a wedding dress or a favorite sweater from years ago, consider having it professionally preserved or turned into a keepsake, like a pillow or framed textile. 7. Sentimental items without a purpose. It's easy to accumulate items for their sentimental value, your child's old school projects, trophies, or mementos from past vacations. These pieces hold memories but can take over precious space. Consider creative ways to honor these items without keeping them all. Scan and digitize old photos or letters and create a scrapbook or memory box for smaller keepsakes. One grandfather I know created a memory wall with a rotating selection of framed items. It allowed him to enjoy his treasures without overwhelming his space. Another idea is to create digital slideshows that can be displayed on a digital photo frame, offering a modern way to celebrate memories. 8. Too much furniture. Sometimes we keep furniture simply because we've always had it. However, too many pieces can make a room feel crowded and hard to navigate, especially if mobility becomes a concern. Consider evaluating each piece for its utility and comfort. A senior couple I once met decided to replace their bulky sectional sofa with a sleek, comfortable love seat and a recliner. It opened up their living room, making it easier to move around and creating a more inviting atmosphere. Consider multi-purpose furniture, like ottomans with hidden storage, to maximize functionality without adding clutter. 9. Neglected storage spaces. Basements, attics, and garages are often the last places to get attention. These spaces can become dumping grounds for things you no longer need but haven't taken the time to sort through. You can dedicate a weekend to tackling these areas. Break it into manageable chunks, one box or shelf at a time. Enlist help if needed. Turning it into a family project can lighten the load. One widower named Tom shared how his children helped him clear out his garage, turning up forgotten treasures like an old toolbox that became a family keepsake. Use clear bins and labels to organize what remains, making it easier to find items in the future. 10. Neglected maintenance items. Sometimes clutter isn't just about items, it's about deferred maintenance. Broken appliances, tangled cords, and neglected corners can add to the feeling of disarray. You can address one maintenance task at a time. Fix what you can, recycle old electronics, and hide cords with simple organizers. Ben, a retired engineer, set a goal to complete one repair project each weekend. His home not only became more functional, but also brought him a renewed sense of pride. Routine maintenance can be less daunting if you create a checklist and spread tasks out over the year. 11. Expired medications and toiletries. Bathrooms often become cluttered with expired medications, half-used beauty products, and toiletries bought in bulk. These can not only make storage areas chaotic, but also pose safety risks. Regularly go through your medicine cabinet and discard expired items safely. Many pharmacies offer medication disposal services. Consolidate toiletries into smaller, labeled containers to reduce bulk. A friend of mine named Lily organized her bathroom with clear bins and drawer dividers, making it easier to find what she needed. Now her counters are clear, and the bathroom feels like a spa. 12. Old technology and cords. From old flip phones to mystery cables, outdated technology can pile up in drawers and closets, taking up valuable space. Consider recycling electronics at designated e-waste facilities. Keep only the chargers and cords you use, and label them for easy identification. One retiree named Paul created a small tech station in a decorative box where he stored only his essential gadgets and accessories. This simple step freed up drawers and eliminated the frustration of tangled wires. 13. Unorganized craft or hobby supplies. Many seniors enjoy hobbies like knitting, painting, or woodworking, but the supplies for these activities can easily become disorganized. Dedicate a specific space for your hobby items, using storage bins or shelving units. One creative senior named Nancy repurposed an old dresser into a craft station, with each drawer labeled for different materials. Keeping supplies in one place made her projects more enjoyable and her home less cluttered. 14. Overcrowded sentimental displays. While it's lovely to showcase family photos, souvenirs, and trophies, too many items in one place can overwhelm the eye and diminish their impact. Consider rotating your displays. Highlight a few favorite pieces at a time and store the rest safely. Seasonal rotations can keep things fresh. My neighbor David swapped out his travel souvenirs quarterly, making his living room feel new every few months without adding clutter. A curated display lets each item shine and keeps your home feeling tidy. 15. Unfinished projects. Sometimes, clutter comes in the form of projects that were started with enthusiasm but never completed. This could be a half-painted room, an abandoned puzzle, or a DIY project left in limbo. These unfinished endeavors can weigh on your mind and take up space. Assess each project honestly. Ask yourself if it's worth finishing or if it's time to let it go. If you still want to complete it, set a realistic deadline and allocate specific time to work on it. One retiree named Linda described how she had a quilt she started years ago, but never finished. She joined a local sewing group to regain motivation and finally completed it within a few months. For projects you no longer care about, consider donating materials or disposing of them responsibly. 16. Items you're saving just in case. Many of us hold on to items because we might need them someday, from empty jars to stacks of old magazines. Over time, these just-in-case items can accumulate, creating unnecessary clutter. Evaluate whether these items have a realistic purpose. If you haven't used them in the past year, it's likely time to part with them. A retired handyman I know, named George, had a garage full of scrap wood he intended to use for future projects. Realizing he'd only used a small portion in years, he donated the wood to a local community workshop, freeing up space and helping others. Setting limits, like designating a single bin for such items, can also keep this type of clutter under control. 17. Unused outdoor equipment.